DCEU just had its newest movie, Black Adam. So it's time to rank the DCEU for the first time ever on my channel. And I'm only talking about the movies. By the way, my voice is a little bit strained in case if it sounds a bit off during the video. And in last place is Justice League. Now this is a very bad movie because for one, it's already bad enough on its own. It has a ton of problems, made very serious characters goofy, just made tons of terrible decisions. And on the back half, the stuff behind the scenes was even worse. And all in all, it's just like gross to me. So this movie is easily coming in last place. Next up is Wonder Woman 1984. Now this movie was just like bad. The way that they brought back Steve Trevor was just, in my opinion, stupid. There's not much I really have to say about it. The villains were pretty bad. The way they brought back Steve Trevor was bad. The reason on why Wonder Woman did not have a sword and shield was also a bit corny, especially since it basically breaks the canon of Batman vs. Superman and Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So all in all, it's just not a very good movie. Next up, we have Suicide Squad 2016. Now, this movie is very underrated. Still not a very good movie, though. I do agree that it's not a very good movie, but it's kind of underrated. It's a bit of a kind of a fun movie to watch. I really liked Deadshot. He was probably, in my opinion, the big standout of the movie. It was nice getting to see the Justice League again in some small parts, but it wasn't really much of like a good movie. And honestly, you can watch most of the other movies on this list and it wouldn't really matter to the canon much. Okay, now we're getting into the kind of movies where I do enjoy. Next up we have is Aquaman. Now I really like this movie. It's very fun. It's cheesy. It's not trying to be the best comic book movie. It knows what it is. It's cheesy. It's goofy. It's funny. They have weird parts where like pop sounds just come out of nowhere, or they just go to Africa and start dancing. Black Manta and Ocean Master were great villains. A good origin for Aquaman. Atlantis was handled cool. And overall, a pretty good movie. I just don't like it as much as the stuff above. Next up on this list is the longest title for any movie ever, or as I like to just call it, Birds of Prey. Now, this is more of enjoyable. I know Aquaman is overall a better movie, but I just take more enjoyment out of this because it's chaotic, because the main character is Harley Quinn, so it's all getting told by like her perspective and how she would interpret things, which means it's a very funny and like entertaining outlook on the movie. The Birds of Prey themselves, other than Harley Quinn, aren't really that interesting, and I didn't really care for any of their characters. I think Ewan McGregor did a good job at his Black Mask. Still not a great villain, but overall, I do pretty much like this movie. Next up on the list is Batman vs. Superman. The Ultimate Edition, for the record, I haven't even seen the theatrical cut, so I wouldn't really know exactly where to rank it. And since it's not really streaming anywhere, there isn't any way I could have put it on this list. So I put this one a bit higher because I do actually like this movie a bit. It's just way too ambitious. Like, I feel like it would have been a good movie if they cut out, like, all the stuff setting up Justice League, or should I say Justice League, toned down, like, don't have Lex Luthor be super weird, played by, like, not a weird guy, make the movie a bit shorter, and, just, like, cut out some of the plot lines in there. You got almost a perfect Batman vs. Superman movie. But overall, it's a pretty good movie. It's just, there's a lot, it's very flawed, so I can't really put it up higher. Next up is Man of Steel, also known as my favorite Superman movie. Now, I love this movie. I feel like the directing by Zack Snyder was very good. Superman was handled like, actually like a grounded character, a more realistic take on Superman. It's very much more realistic, grounded, and I feel like that's what the movie does best. And it handles the whole Superman origin very good. I liked getting to see how he like grew up as a kid. My only problem with it is that this is like one of the only movies on this list where I found myself being bored on multiple occasions. Like, this one took me days to watch because of how many times I got bored while watching it. But overall, I do really like this movie. Next up is Black Adam, which is a movie I never got bored while watching. It's like super entertaining. Well, now I do know that there are many problems with the movie. I still really like the movie. I really like the Justice Society. I like each of the different characters in the Justice Society. Not a huge fan of the villain. I really liked Black Adam and how he was like the father of the kid who was gifted with the powers of Shazam, and he gave him to him to save his life. I found that to be very interesting. So he's just driven by rage and anger. And I also do have a bit of a recency bias towards this because it's the one I saw most recently. But I do really like this movie, and yeah, that's why I put it above Man of Steel, because I just find it more entertaining than Man of Steel, even though I do know it's a more flawed movie. Next up is Wonder Woman, and this is a very good movie. It was like my introduction to the DCEU. The first DCEU I saw was this, and it did it pretty well. I really liked like the world building in this. I loved Wonder Woman's like origin and her character arc throughout the movie. The scene where she's like plowing down those guys in World War I is very good. It's just the reason this isn't higher is that the third act, as much people think, is a bit lackluster. And if those first two acts were phenomenal, just if the third act was to the same level, it would have been very much better. But I do actually really like the death of Steve Trevor in this movie. I think it was handled very good. Next up is Shazam. Now, I do count this as a Christmas movie. I don't know why, but I really do like this movie a lot. It will be in my top 5 or 10. I don't know which one I'm going to take, but top 5 or 10 Christmas movies, it definitely makes that. But let's just get back to me talking about the movie. It's a very good movie. Now, this was my most surprising movie on this list, in my opinion, because it delivered on something I wasn't thinking of. I was thinking, oh, this might not be very good. The premise of Shazam is honestly quite dumb. Like a kid just turning older and getting the powers of I just found the original premise stupid. But this movie made me love the character of Shazam. I also like the dynamic he had with all the other characters in the movie. It's almost like a perfect superhero movie, in my opinion. Other than I did not find the villain interesting at all. But if it had a better villain and it was more interesting, the villain, it probably could have took the top spot. In second place is Suicide Squad 2021. Now, I love this movie. I don't have a single problem with it. All the characters are handled very good, especially Bloodsport. In my opinion, he was the big standout. He was easily my favorite of the group. I liked all the characters, and I liked their character arcs throughout the movie. I liked how they grew and changed. And the villains were very good, especially Amanda Waller. I just found the whole movie to be pretty good. But coming in first place is Zack Snyder's Justice League, the movie we were all waiting to see after the terrible Justice League. This movie has no flaws, in my opinion, other than they could have trimmed out some stupid parts like the people singing to Aquaman. All the characters are handled beautifully with rich, and very they had all very good character arcs throughout the movie. I liked the way every single character was handled. I just wish we got to see a bit more of Darkseid. Okay, that's my ranking of the DCEU. Tell me yours down in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe and watch more of my videos.